Hello again. This is Ms. Nakayama, and today's lesson is 1.5, more on slope. So in this lesson, to carry on what we talked about before, we're going to find the slopes and equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. We're also going to interpret the slope as a rate of change and then find a function's average rate of change. So remember, you have learned before that two non-vertical lines are parallel if they're parallel, then they have the same slope. And the converse is also true, and that is if they have the same slope, then we know that they're parallel. Because vertical lines do not have any slope, we have to say that two distinct vertical lines, both with undefined slopes, are parallel, because it's hard to say that they're the same if they're both undefined. So look at this first example. We're going to write an equation of a line passing through -2, 5 and parallel to the line whose equation is y equals 3x plus 1. So first and foremost, what is the slope of y equals 3x plus 1? It's the coefficient over x, so the slope is 3. And things aren't working right for me, so we'll just try to keep going here. Boop-de-boop-de-boop. There, it decided to work. Okay, so the slope is 3. And that means that any line that is parallel is going to have the same slope of 3. So we'll start off with what I told y'all last time. The easiest one to use is y equals the point slope form, which is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So my equation, y minus, what is my y coordinate? 5, is equal to the slope. We just determined our slope was 3. And then times the quantity of x minus, now this time actually, I say put it in parentheses, but I decided to just put my negative, I flipped it and made it plus 2. So that's my minus -2. Okay, that right there is remember, the point slope form of a line. So pay attention to the directions and how you have to give your answer. You could be done at this point. But if it said it had to be in slope intercept form, then I would distribute that 3. Y minus 5 is equal to 3x plus 6, and then take the 5 to the other side, giving me y equals 3x plus 11. And that would be your answer in slope intercept form. Okay, so that was an example with parallel lines. Slope and perpendicular lines. If two non-vertical lines are perpendicular, then we know that the product of their slopes is -1. And the converse, if the product is -1, then we know that the lines are perpendicular. So keep in mind, a horizontal line that has 0 slope is perpendicular to a vertical line that has an undefined slope. And again, we have to say it because 0 times undefined does not equal -1. Okay, so look at this example. Find the slope of any line that is perpendicular to the line whose equation is x plus 3y minus 12 equals 0. So the easiest way to find that slope, you've got to solve this equation for y. So the first thing I'm going to do is move the x and the -12 to the other side. So I'm going to have 3y equals -x plus 12. And then I'm going to divide everything by 3. So that's going to give me y equals -1/3 x plus 4. Okay, I usually write a 3 underneath each one, so you'll remember to divide both of these terms by 3. Okay, now that tells me the slope of this line is -1/3. The question says find the slope of any line that is perpendicular. So what's going to be the slope of the perpendicular? You flip it and negate it, or give me the opposite sign. So that means that the slope of my perpendicular is 3. That's all you got to do there. All right, slope is a rate of change. Okay, generally, well, we'll tell you, remind you that slope is defined as the ratio of change in y to the corresponding change in x. And y'all, really what's happening is when they talk about a rate of change, it's really the application of slope. And so oftentimes they want some kind of description that goes along with it. So look at this problem here. Okay, in 1990, 9 million adult men in the United States lived alone. In 2008, 14 million adult men in the United States lived alone. Use this information to find the, what am I finding? the slope of the linear function representing adult men living alone in the United States. Express the slope correct to 2 decimal places and describe what it represents. So I'm finding the slope, which means that I'm going to find the change in y over the change in x. And when you're dealing with time, okay, it's always your x, and so it's on the bottom, and I would start with that one. So we're going to have 2008 minus 1990. And what goes with 2008 is 14.7 minus 9 is what goes with 1990, excuse me. So to simplify that, I'm going to have 60 on the bottom and 19 on the top. And when I put that in decimal, because I read the directions, then my slope is going to be 0.32 because they wanted it to 2 decimal places. It does say describe what it represents. So it tells us that there's an increase of approximately 32 million adult men living alone each year in the United States. Okay, so that is slope as a rate of change. All right, this last thing that we got to talk about is the average rate of change of a function. So if you're given 2 points, x sub 1, f of x sub 1, x sub 2, and f of x sub 2. Remember, f of x is the same as our y. Okay, then to calculate the average rate of change, okay, y'all, same thing we've been doing, change in y over the change in x. They're just writing it with function notation. So it's the exact same thing we've been doing all along. Okay, so here's our last example. Find the average rate of change for f of x equals x cubed from x sub 1 equal negative 2 to x sub 2 equals 0. So what we have to do is we have to go calculate f of negative 2 and f of 0. So f of negative 2 says put negative 2 in for x. I got a negative. I'm plugging it in. I'm always going to put parentheses around it. Cube it. And so f of negative 2 equals 8. And that means I have the point negative 2 comma negative 8. Now I've got to go find f of 0. F of 0 says plug in 0. 0 cubed is 0. So that means the other point I have is 0, 0. So to calculate that, okay, again, just like we've been doing, change in y, it doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm starting with 0 because I like to subtract negative numbers because then I know I'm adding them. So 0 minus negative 8, that's my y coordinate, over the x, 0 minus negative 2, and that simplifies to 4. So that's all we have in this lesson. Please make sure you write down what you need to know to master these concepts. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a great day.